Well, good afternoon. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 19th of December. It's a Sunday and we are rocking. We had good wind as of last night again. The wind came from a totally different direction than the normal northeastern steady winds that we should have, because we had a lot of local systems of clouds. So every time that we passed a cloud, the wind would change direction and keep on changing as we were passing the cloud or going through a cloud. And then once we passed the cloud, it would come back again from the usual direction. This means that we would have wind changes from coming from 30 degrees northeast down to east, and then back again northeast. So this is a shift of about 60 degrees. Now again, lucky we have an autopilot on wind vane, so we could choose our sail plan, the choice of sails that we use in a certain part of the passage according to the wind direction, the wind strength, etc., etc. And then as of this morning, I think around 8 o'clock, 7-8 o'clock, things changed again. We swapped sails. We had the mainsail and the genoa out. For a while we were motor sailing because the wind itself was not strong enough to keep the sails full. So we gave a little bit of extra thrust and speed with the engine at very low revs, and that was good enough to go over the threshold of the speed that we need and the wind that we need to sail. Those of you who do not sail, or maybe let's say the aspirant sailors or beginner sailors might think, how come that the wind speed is changing if you add a little bit of motor power? Well, that depends on the point of sail. At that point we were sailing with the wind coming about 110 degrees. So this is a broad beam reach, but then the moment you start to speed up, so this is true wind angle, but then the moment you start to speed up at that wind angle, the apparent wind, the wind as it is experienced by the boat and by yourself on the boat, moves forward. So if you have a true wind of 110 degrees and you start to speed up, either under sail or under engine, the wind angle changes and becomes sharper. So the actual apparent wind was going to, let's say, 80 degrees, 70 degrees as we were speeding up, which with the sails that we had, the genoa and the mainsail, kept the sails very nicely filled, but also by just putting the engine in maybe 1,000 revs or something, assured with the sails that we had that we were cruising along at 7 knots. So that is quite a nice speed for a boat like ours. So meanwhile, we got out of those clouds from last night. We went through about 4 hours of straight sunshine in between two fronts with winds of 15, 16, 17 knots. So clearly there was wind between that cloud front that we moved through in the past 24 hours and the one that we're in now. The one that we're in now is completely different. These are higher clouds, also much thinner. So clearly there was a difference in pressure and wind going between those two pressure systems. And you can see it, I don't know if you can see it on my watch. We now have 116 hectopascal, and we were at 1024 hectopascal. So the difference between those two pressures is about 6 hectopascal, and it was good enough for about an extra 5-6 knots of wind. So that's the stuff that sailors have to keep in account if they sail. Well, you can also, just put the sails out and go, but if you go in long passages, that's all stuff you have to calculate and try to find an explanation why things happen, and try to, the next time something like this pops up, you use that experience and you anticipate. Sailing is all about anticipating, a wise person once said. And now for the interesting stuff. Unfortunately, this morning, as we were cruising along at 15-16 knots, we were running under a spinnaker, the big colorful sail you might have seen in one of the other videos, and the mainsail. And at a certain point, the halyard, which is running from the top of the mast to the top of the spinnaker, snapped through. So in 2 seconds, the mood on the boat went from very relaxed, fast sailing into, I wouldn't say panic mode, but into emergency mode. So we were 3 people on deck at that moment, and we had to retrieve the spinnaker from the water. So I'll come back to that in just a moment, just to give you an idea what we're doing now. So at this moment we have again a very nice and sexy configuration. This is the foresail. This picture is taken actually from the hatch in my cabin, which is forward on deck. So if we look what sails we have at the moment, might not look very high, but again, this is a 20-meter mast, so don't get confused with the perspective of the camera. We are now running on the left the genoa, the big genoa, 140% genoa, and on the right our jib. As you might see here, just a second, we have 2 foresails. We have a forestay which contains the furling of the genoa, and then a little bit behind that is a second forestay, which is the forestay of the furling of this jib on the right hand side. At this moment we run wing on wing with genoa and jib, which is a very stable sail plan for downwind sailing. It doesn't overpower the boat, it's also not fragile. A Gennaker is a much bigger sail, much lighter, reacts much faster to a change of wind, to the swell, but these are both big sails. The one on the left, the Genoa, is a little bit heavier and bigger. The jib is a much smaller sail. You can probably see this, here the jib is running, I can almost touch the corner here, but then the Genoa, which is held out by this pole, this whisker pole or spinnaker pole, is held open, and that I cannot touch. That is like probably 5 meters away from me. So it gives you an idea about the difference in size of these sails. This is a very nice, comfortable and safe configuration that also allows a bit of variation in downwind sailing, so you don't have to go fully downwind, fully 180 degrees. You can go between 170 to port and 170 to starboard side. So here you see I don't know if I've ever shown you up on the other videos. So this is the bow of the boat. At the very front you see our massive anchor. I think it's, I have to ask the skipper again, a 60 or 70 kilogram mantis anchor. Very big, heavy, which is, I think, on a 100-meter chain. So the chain runs into this locker. And then you have the first forestay, which contains the furling of the Genoa. And then you have the second forestay with the furler of the jib. You see how a furler works. So this is a drum roll. At this moment, of course, the sails are out. And when we want to pull the sail in, we basically pull on this for this jib. Let me zoom out a little bit. On this line, we basically pull on this line, and then that drum starts rolling, starts moving. With that movement, then the furler itself, the stay, turns around and then rolls up the jib. And exactly the same configuration for the genoa with the furling drum. As we then furl up the foresail, we also let go of the sheet, which is at the bottom of the sail. Sailors will condemn me for not using the right nautical terms. If we go a little bit further down, you see, where's my finger? Let me go here. All right. Then this little drum is where the anchor goes in. So there's an anchor locker. That is the windlass, this drum. So there's an electric-driven windlass that rolls up the anchor or lets the anchor go. And then this hatch is not a neighbor of mine, but this is a sail locker. So the bigger sails go in here, like the genoa. This is where the genoa lives. That's what we call living. You see the inlets of several water tanks. We have just filled the water tanks with the water maker. So we leave those half open, so when there is an overflow it can come out. So these are two of our water tanks. There is another outlet like this, which I think is one of the waste tanks. And then further in the back we have another water tank, and on the back over there is a diesel tank all the way back. Here is the hatch from my neighbor. I'll show you the inside for a moment. So in here we have the mast with the stays. You see the radar up there, and then the very top of the mast with the VHF antenna, the wind vane, and I think that's about it. And then we go behind the mast are the backstays that run to the back of the boat. You see we're not running on a mainsail. The mainsail is furled. This is a boat with a furling mainsail. So the sail actually lives in the mast. And each time that we want to get the mainsail out, you do the same as with the foresails. You pull on one line and you let go on the other line, so the sail rolls out. We have a couple of halyards up here, I think. And then you see all of the lines running to the back of the boat into the cockpit. And we have a lot of lines. Just counting here, I see one line going from the pole down. So there's an uplift. There is a downhole on the pole. There's two sheets on this corner. So only this sail and that particular corner has 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. Then we have all kinds of furling lines, a furling line for the genoa, a furling line for the jib going aft. You see all of these lines are running to the aft. If you follow this line here, which is the downhole for the whisker pole, if you follow it, it goes down there. It goes into a pulley, a tackle, then runs through here back to the cockpit. And in the cockpit you can easily count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lines going to the cockpit. 11 lines plus 1, 2 sheets which are here on this side. You see sheet, the dark blue one, which is in use. And then here is the lazy sheet for the, I think it's a genoa. Yeah. So this is the lazy sheet for the jib. This is the lazy sheet for the genoa. We call it lazy sheet because it's a sheet which is not working at the moment. This boat is also rigged or fine-tuned. You see here we have a low friction ring that helps pulling the jib in the right shape, rather than running the line directly to the car. I'll show you how it looks like from the cockpit, and run through all of the lines that we have coming from the cockpit. But you see, all in all, this is a complicated boat in the sense that it has a lot of different sail combinations which are useful in a long passage, but also that makes it quite interesting in learning how this boat is operated. And on top of that, this boat has several safety measures. If you look at the side of the boom, you see here runs a red line, and then a red line to the other side, which are permanent preventers. So this helps to keep the boom in place, stops the boom from swinging left and right during passage, but also keeps the boom in place in case that something is wrong with the autopilot or with the helm, that all of a sudden the boat starts turning 90 degrees. So there is Charlie. Actually, he's not looking at me. Charlie is Chris. Chris is on watch. He's looking after us. And then to wrap up we're almost done with just the bow of our boat. And then we have two solar panels. And here, two smaller solar panels. You might remember from one of my other videos. We have big solar panels all the way down in the aft, 1000 watt solar panels. And then here we have two smaller solar panels, which are used to charge the engine batteries, the start batteries. So we have two independent systems. We have the start battery and then the house batteries. In another video I told you that the house batteries are used to power all of the electrical equipment, and then these panels are only used to charge the starter battery, which doesn't need a lot of charge because we don't start the battery very often. So here next to me lives Charlie. That is the hatch of his cabin. And I've been very naughty because normally we don't open up the hatches while we're under sail, in case we need to come towards the bow of the boat to work on the sails, and somebody might accidentally trip through the hatch. And then if they would go through the hatch, they would end up in this. So welcome to my little kingdom, my little chiefdom. This is my cabin. This is where I live. Let me just put the sun just went away, so it's a little bit dark. Let me just switch on the lights. Voila. So this is my little chiefdom where everything has its place. We have on the right my satellite boxes, sleeping bag, and then on the right my bags that I used to travel with. On top of that my night gear. As you know, we live in 2 seasons. During the day it's pretty warm, so I have shorts on and a t-shirt, but during the night we have to put several layers up. So I have my my sweater, my covers, my all-weather jacket, my all-weather pants, and then depending how warm it is, oops, my towel just fell off. Depending how warm it is, I have boots, sailing boots, which are a special anti-slip boots. I have sailing shoes, and then I have my walking shoes once we're on shore. And up here lives my t-shirt, my underwear. You want to see my underwear? No. All of the other stuff, like pants, spare towel, blah blah blah, extra blanket, to show you that everything has a little space on my in my kingdom. This is where my Earplugs live, because during the night it often gets very noisy in here, so I put earplugs in. Everything has its place. I have my bag with all of my electronics, a spare VHF radio, a multimeter, I have an inverter, I have the chargers for different equipment, my headset that I use during the night. I have sunscreen, anti-mosquito, but we don't have mosquitoes yet, but we will soon. Cream and aftershave, and then my toilet bag. This is where my towel lives. And then We have my computer bag, and we have then the shower, which you might have seen in one of the other. Shower and head, the toilet. As you see, there is not much in there, and if there is more moving on the boat, right now it's quite calm, then everything gets blocked. So I put all of the shampoo and the soap in the sink, so it doesn't fly around. I just had a shower, so it's a little bit humid in here. Voila. This is more the front of the boat with my cabin. Oh yeah, and of course we have charger cables that plugs into 12 volts over there. I just charged my watch also, and from there on it goes to the main salon and the galley, which you've seen before. I just give you a cuckoo. Voila. You've seen this before, the galley. Oh, and you might ask, okay, well, in here, this is not mine, this is storage room for the family that lives on this boat, and also under this bunk there is plenty of storage. And I think we have several of the tanks in there, but I don't have access to that, of course, a storage area. So basically my storage area is this little bar here on the side, and then over here at the bottom. Voila, that is the tour of the bow. I wish you a good Sunday, enjoy it, safe passage to everyone, and I'll see you in the next couple of days.